Hello everyone. Okay, so in this section, we're going to log into our server for the first time and update our operating system and get it ready for the main chunk of this course, and that's when we start actually building the web server. Now, if you, the first thing I want you to do, like I said, just log into the server, okay, through VirtualBox. And now the very first thing I want you to do once you're logged in is type in ifconfig. Now, if you read the terms of the on the last section, you'll know that ifconfig is a tool used to pull up the IP address of your server, as well as some network statistics for the Ethernet adapter. Now, what I want you to do, if you're already on Linux or Mac, SSH will already be built in. So you just go into the Mac terminal to the Linux terminal and just type in SSH space your username. So I'll show you the Linux example, okay, because I'm running Linux here. So I will just do SSH, and since my username is Sean, I don't need to. But let's say your name is your username is Bob. You'll do SSH Bob at and then your IP address. Okay, but if your username is the same over here, so for instance Sean at Sean Desktop and my username is Sean, I don't need to do it. So now I'll just do SSH 192.168.1.181. You hit enter. You'll be asked to verify the authenticity of the host. Okay, say yes, and then just enter your password. Okay. Reason why we wanted to do this is that this is more realistic. Okay, and on top of that, if you want to copy and paste commands and stuff like that, you won't really be able to in VirtualBox. Okay, but the reason why we're doing this more is for more realism. Okay, now if you want to do this on Windows, you will have to go to this website, or if you just Google Putty is the application, you have to download Putty because Microsoft does not have a SSH client built onto the operating system for Windows. So you just quickly download this app, very small, and it's free. So you'll just go to this website to download the software. Okay, so now I'll assume that everyone is able to SSH into the software, and the first thing we'll notice is that Ubuntu automatically says that there's 58 packages to be updated and 25 updates for security. Now, in Linux, applications and downloads are called packages, and now what happens is that when you want to update the software, you'll go sudo apt-get update. Now, apt stands for aptitude, okay, which is a software to download packages on Linux, and get just telling it aptitude get updates. Okay, now in Linux, all of your updates come from something called a repository. So before we update, I'll show you what a repository, how this looks. So we'll do cd/etc/apt/ okay, and now in here you will notice if you do ls for list, there will be a a file called sources.list. So what we want to do is nano sources.list. Now in here you'll see various URLs or links to certain websites. What these are servers with these updated packages that are on them, and they're pretty much just a repository of all the updates for our operating system. So for instance, when you update Windows, they will come from update.microsoft.com for existence. And now for Linux, it's the same thing, just that there are more than one sources, and they're sometimes all over the world. Okay, so for instance, some of these are in the US. Actually, most of these will probably be in the US. Okay, Now, when we want to go ahead and update, we'll go back to our command here. So sudo apt-get update. Okay. You have to execute most of these commands with the root privileges. And if you read before, you'll know that the sudo is a mechanism to switch to to root privileges for a specific command. So over here, you'll notice I did sudo apt-get update. It asks for my password. You enter your password, and then what it does is those repositories will get all the updates that they know about. It'll download a list of all the updates that are available for our operating system. Okay, now we want to actually update the operating system. So what we'll do here is do sudo apt-get space, instead of update, upgrade. Okay, and then it'll say, okay, there's 34.7 megabytes of data to be downloaded, and these are our updates. Okay, so you'll hit yes, Y for yes, and then it'll go ahead and download all of our updates for us. Okay, a little background about why it's very important right off the get-go to download your updates. First of all, when we're building a web-facing service, web-facing server, our servers are more prone to attacks than a server that's not web-facing. That's because there are a lot of scripts and a lot of tools that are out there that automatically scan the web for vulnerable web servers. So the very first thing we want to do is make sure our server is up to date even before we start hosting our website. It's not only a security thing, but of course a performance thing. Say Apache 1.0 had a massive bug that caused it to be unstable. Well, you don't want a piece of unstable software on your server that makes it look like your server is unstable, your website's always down, when there's a much more up-to-date software. So we always want to make sure we have the latest and greatest. Now, once your server is more secure and more mature, you will want to start really looking into when to update and why. Because, for instance, if you built a site and Apache 2.0 had a specific feature that Apache 3.0 doesn't have anymore, you may need to modify the code of your server application, that is, or you maybe need to modify the code of your website to interact differently with Apache. So there are a lot of things to consider, but since we're starting from scratch, there should be no real reason why we can't make sure we have all the latest and updates. And of course, even the code updates, we always want to make sure we have our security updates. For instance, there are a lot of vulnerabilities that are patched pretty quickly, and what happens is that once a vulnerability has been patched or has been discovered, they normally publish it online, and what hackers do is start making automated tools to exploit these vulnerabilities. Now, if you don't patch your server for, let's say a year or a couple of months, the chances of you being attacked or compromised greatly increase because of that. Okay, so now we've updated our software. Okay, what I normally recommend is to do the process one more time. So sudo apt-get update. Okay, this just makes sure that nothing is left behind. Okay, and it'll say, yep, nothing has been left behind. Okay, so now we've updated our operating system. So that's it for this section. The next section we're going to install the LAMP stack and then start on our journey to getting our first site up. If you have any questions, always email me, SeanMancini2010@gmail.com, and see you next time.